Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel ECE tutorial. In last class I have told you that the basics of scalar and vector quantity, and also I told you in this video I'll be telling the depth of scalar and vector quantity and also the laws of forces. So now let us look on to this, what I mean by scalar quantity. So scalar quantity means it is a physical quantity that only has magnitude and no direction. So here is the example: volume, density, speed, energy, mass and time. So all these examples I have taken that has only magnitude and there is no direction. Even for much understanding, I have given here one diagram of a car which is showing a speed. So speed here is an scalar quantity which has only magnitude and there is no direction. Does speed shows any direction? No, it has only magnitude. So that's the better example for scalar quantity. Next, vector quantity mean it is an opposite of scalar quantity. Mean in scalar quantity it has only direction, only magnitude but no direction. But in vector quantity it has both magnitude and direction. Okay, mean for example here I've given distance, displacement, speed, velocity, acceleration, force, mass, momentum, energy, work and power. So all these are the example of vector quantity. So here I have shown the example of an weight. So weight is a vector quantity. So here in the example you can see I have shown you the mass, right? So this mass, where the mass occurs, there it is, that means it has a vector quantity. So here you can see the weighing machine has, it can weigh weight, it can measure weight. So it is a vector quantity. So vector quantity mean it has both magnitude and direction, whereas in scalar quantity it has only magnitude but no direction. So first, now let us get to know the basic definitions of some forces. Okay, first is concurrent forces. So concurrent forces mean the number of forces meeting at a point. So in this diagram you can see here all forces, all five forces here are meeting at a point, that is O, right? So at this point all five forces are meeting. So in whichever object all forces are meeting at a point, at a single point, those kind of forces are called as concurrent forces. Where all the forces are meeting at a point, those kinds of forces are called as concurrent forces. Whereas in coplanar forces, in that number of forces acting in the same plane, mean in concurrent forces it will be all forces will be meeting at a single point, but here all forces will be meeting at a same plane, at an same plane all forces are meeting. See here you can see in the diagram, see all the forces are meeting at a single plane, all five forces are meeting at a single plane, but here it is meeting at a single point and single plane. So this is the difference of these two forces. So now let us look on to the basic definition, which is a very important for the exam point of view also. So first is a resultant force. So resultant force is the combined effect of two forces acting on a body simultaneously. Mean if you take the two forces as F1 and F2, when both the forces are acting together on one particular body, then that a result what you are getting is called as resultant force. So about this I'll be explaining the further slides also. So now let us look on to the equilibrium. Equilibrium mean number of forces acting on a body together. So it can be many number of any, how many number of forces, it can be any number of forces, so that will be acting together on a body, on a particular, on single body, all forces will be acting together. That is called as equilibrium. Here also in further slide I'll be telling the conditions of equilibrium also. So here comes the equilibrium: one single force acting and other force kept in equilibrium. This is This means only one force in many number of force will be acting in equilibrium. Many number of forces will be acting, but here only one single force is acting on a body, and all other force will be kept in equilibrium. Mean all other force will be kept in this condition of forces. So if this condition has to be satisfied, what are all the conditions that will satisfy this equilibrium, I'll be telling the further slides. So now let us look on to law of forces. In law of forces, we have three laws of force, that is parallelogram and triangle and Lenz's law. First, let us look on to parallelogram. Parallelogram law states that if two forces are acting at a point simultaneously are represented vectorially by two adjacent sides of parallelogram, then their resultant is represented vectorially by the diagonal through that point. So now let us look at to the diagram. So when two or more, this like the statement states that when two or more forces are involved, right? So that time the geometric shape what we'll get will no longer be a parallelogram. Okay, but the same principle, if we apply, the force of the vector are observed to obey the law of vector addition. So overall the resultant what you are getting, resultant force due to that application of the number of forces can be found geometrically by drawing the vector arrows of each for each forces. So for example, if we see this construction, like these are the two forces I'm going to take. So this is F1 and this is F2. Okay, I think you can understand the diagram, and this is the resultant force. So these F1, so if you look at this construction, the resultant of F2 is, if we call this resultant force, this F2 has a tail, so this is moving towards the head of the F1. So see here, this will be a parallelogram, right? So here I can show you, this will look like a parallelogram, right? So where this one, this is F1 and this is F2. Okay, so this, for taking F, and will take the net force, the vector, by joining this head and tail, or like F1 F2, for joining these two forces, we will mean the, by coinciding, mean after the resultant force will get, right? So that will coincide to F1 and F2 both will coincide. So by repeating these procedures, we will take the resultant force as F1 plus F2. So this is the law of parallelogram. So now let us look on to the triangle law. So before that, what laws I'm going to tell, these three laws, that is parallelogram, triangle, Lenz, all these laws are even, we'll use it in practical also. So in practical, we'll be having some, we'll be using the equipments like weights, we'll be like applying the weights to each sides, right? For an instrument, and using the glass slide or a mirror, we will be measuring, we'll be pointing out, we'll be applying points and we'll be joining as parallelogram or triangle, whatever law we are going to prove it. So then we'll measure the angles and we'll do, right? So for that, in practical also it is helpful. For that, we have to know how these laws will work and what these laws will state. So now let us look on the triangle law. Triangle law, it states that if two forces are acting at a point simultaneously, can be represented both in magnitude and direction by three sides of the triangle taken in order, then the forces will keep the point in equilibrium. Mean when two forces are acting, mean at one point two forces, that if we take F1 and F2, those two forces are acting at a point simultaneously, together they're together they're acting at a point. So that can be represented, so it represents both magnitude and direction. So I think you remember in the last slide, last class I have told you that both magnitude and direction be having for which quantity, that is vector quantity, right? So by three sides, so three sides of the triangle also, when we take these three sides of the triangle in order, so those three sides also will represent the magnitude and the direction, which will take in the order. So then these forces will point in equilibrium. So P, the mean, if we take three sides of the triangle has PQR, then P divided by AB, mean AB is the sides of the triangle. So PQR is the point and ABC is the point. The representation of the triangle. Okay, so P by AB. AB is the distance of 2 points of the triangle and P is the angle. PQR is the angle and AB, BC, CA are the distance of each side to each points where they meet in the triangle. Okay, so in this law, if we consider the two vectors PQ are acting on a body and they are represented both in magnitude and direction by the sides of OA. Okay, so I'll show you with a figure so that you can understand. So if we take this as the triangle, so here this is B, this is B. Okay, this is the side of the triangle, that is B and C, and this is A, and this is the P, and this is Q, and this is R, and this is, as you all know, this will be theta, and this will be O, where all the sides will be meeting. And this is the right angle of the triangle. So here you can see the two forces, that is if we take P and Q, so this between P and Q there's an angle, right? So between this P and this Q there is an angle theta, right? So then if we take R, this has the resultant force. So if you take this angle between this P and Q has theta and this R has the resultant force, then this R is the resultant force for P and Q. Okay, for P and Q this R is the resultant force, and between P and Q we'll take the angle as theta. Then according to the triangle law of vector addition, sides of OB represent the resultant of P and Q. So O and B, the sides O and B, this represents the result of A and B, P and Q. Okay, so if you want to know, so we'll get the equation like R equals P plus Q. This is what I meant. This R, the resultant force what we are getting is the addition of vector addition of these two forces. P and Q is the forces. For this, the R is the resultant force. So after that, if you want to solve further, then you have to expand this equation, this R equals P plus Q. This one you have to expand it like A to C. You have to draw a line, and B to C, which we have drawn here. A to C, we have to expand the line. First we'll be having only this P, Q, R and this O and this theta. This is the first triangle. So this is the triangle what we'll be having at the first, but afterwards we have to expand this line between AC and this BC and OB. Okay, we have to expand these lines, and we have to make a perpendicular line to the OC. So we'll get the triangle has OB square equals OC square plus BC square. This is the Pythagoras theorem. So we'll get by applying that we have to take the first the Pythagoras theorem, then we have to solve it for cos theta equals AC by AB, then we'll get it the equation as AC equals AB into cos theta. Then even if we have to take for sine theta also, for sine theta also we'll get the same equation, that is BC equals AB sine theta. So then you have to, if you want to calculate further for magnitude of resultant also, then we'll get the final equation after calculating. We'll get R equals square root of P square plus 2PQ cos theta plus Q square. This is the magnitude of the resultant. If you want to further find out the direction of resultant, then you will get tan inverse Q sine theta plus divided by P plus Q cos theta. So these are the further proving of triangle law. So by using this triangle diagram, we will further find out the direction of resultant and the magnitude of resultant and all those things. But for the basic thing, this triangle states like this, and how we'll represent the diagram, and what's the basic equation of this resultant, how we are going to add up. So these are the things what we have to know. This is all about the triangle law. So now let us look on to the Lamis theorem, that's the third law of forces. So it states that if three coplanar forces are acting at a point, keep it in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the sine of angle between other two forces. So three forces are acting at one point. There two forces were acting, but here three forces are acting at a point by keeping all these forces in equilibrium. So that time each forces what it is acting, F1 F3 mean PQR here I have taken. So all these PQR force, each force will be proportional to sine of angle between two forces. So will be equal to sine of angle between two mean P, if you take P, that's what I have shown here, P by sine theta equals Q by sine theta, mean P will be proportional to sine theta equals Q will be proportional to, so all this P, if you take P will be proportional to sine of these two Q and R forces. Right? So P will be proportional to sine of these two forces. That's what this Lamis theorem states. So rather we'll come up on the equation of P by sine theta equals Q by sine theta equals R by sine theta, where we'll be applying this equation even in our lab, practicals. So this is also similar to cumulative laws. So that specifies the direction of induced current. So in this law, we will know the direction of induced current, but in this law, there's nothing about the magnitude. Yeah, they have nothing to do with the magnitude and all. So this will show the direction of induced current, in which direction the current is induced. And this Lenz law explains the direction of many effects in electromagnetism, such as the direction of voltage induced in an inductor or wire loop by a changing current, or dragging the force of eddy current exerted on moving object in a magnetic field. So this shows this gradually, this is all dependent upon this Lamis theorem. It shows the direction of maybe forces and voltage induced, then current induced, in which direction. So it's only dependent upon the direction, this theorem. There's nothing to do with the magnitude. Okay, so this Lenz law also may be seen as analogous to Newton's third law in classic mechanics, is further topic. So even this Lamis theorem, this thing will use it in our next second sem also, in our that is called as EMI, electromagnetic induction. So in that in that chapter, in that subject also we'll be using these kind of theorems. So it'll be used actually. So this actually diagrams are like the magnets will be there around that the force direction they'll be showing. So after, even in lab also we'll use an plain paper and we'll apply weights and we'll draw the points, and again we'll measure the sine theta how much it is showing. In the theta will calculate out there, sine theta will calculate, and the distance, I mean the angle PQ, or all these three angles will measure, and even will take the sine theta and we'll apply this formula for P, what angle you have got, divided by sine of what angle. So theta you'll measure, and even PQR's angles you'll measure, and you'll apply to this formula and you'll get the answer. So this is what you're going to do in the lab, and in theory also it's same. So it's all about the Lam's theorem. So now let us see the some of the definitions, I mean the important definition which they'll ask for exams. Usually they'll be asking these kinds of questions. That is parallel force. What do you mean by parallel force? You'll be knowing parallel mean you'll draw two lines, right? So these first is A is parallel to B, you'll be telling. So the same way this parallel force mean the forces are the two forces. The forces are said to be parallel if their lines of actions are parallel. I mean the line of action, if it is parallel, this if you take these two are parallel, then if you take the forces as A and B, so these two forces are, if they are acting, their lines are in parallel, that means the forces also is said to be in parallel. So those kinds of forces will be called as parallel forces. That's a common thing. But in this there are two kinds of forces, that is parallel force, mean like parallel force, and unlike parallel force. Mean when the forces, mean the parallel forces are acting in the same direction, then it is called as like parallel forces. If they are they are acting in a different direction, then it is called as unlike parallel forces. Here what I've shown in the diagram, it is a like parallel force. So if the lines are in different direction, mean one is from this side and one is from this side, this is A and this is B, mean they are at different directions, right? So this is called as unlike parallel forces. So these are two different kinds of forces, parallel forces. So the second thing is torque. Torque means it is a product of force and the perpendicular distance of the force from the point of rotation. So from the point of rotation, the product of the force what you have applied, and the perpendicular distance of the force from the point of rotation, from the point which you are rotating, then from that to the perpendicular line. So both distance what is there, that will be multiplying it with the force what you have got. So actually this torque is will be used, I mean the applications are for water bottle. So for removing the water bottle cap, that kind of force what you are applying is called as torque. So here we'll call it I mean torque is also nothing but as moment of force what we have mentioned is nothing but torque itself will be equal to F into D. F into D mean F is the force and D is the distance. This unit is SI unit is Newton meter. Okay, so next is couple. So couple means two equal unlike parallel forces not acting on a straight line constitutes couple. Moment of couple is equal to F into D. This is same as this moment of force. Moment of force and moment of couple is having the same formula and same SI unit, but the only difference is in the definitions. So here the two forces what we are applying will be equal, but it will be unlike parallel forces, mean it will be acting in different direction, but both forces are equal, but they're acting in different directions. That makes a sense that not acting in a straight line. So they are not in the straight line. Parallel force means they're of course they'll not be in the straight line. So the two forces will be equal, but they'll be in the form of unlike parallel forces. So that those kinds of forces will constitute a couple. So that is nothing but as couple force. So moment of couple is called will be given by F into D, that is force into distance Newton meter. So here are some conditions of equilibrium which is very important for your exam point of view. So first is when number of coplanar parallel forces are acting on a body simultaneously. For not to produce translational motion, the algebraic sum of the forces is equal to 0. Mean here the number of coplanar parallel forces, what these kind of forces are acting on a body, will be those sum of forces. When you add all those forces, that force will be equal to 0. That it should be equal to 0. That is the first condition of equilibrium. If the forces are acting in equilibrium position, mean then when you add those two, mean those forces which are acting on a body, if those forces, if you take the sum of those forces, then it should be equal to 0. That is the first condition of equilibrium. The second condition, so I'll mark it out here, will be should be equal to 0. That's the first condition of equilibrium. The second condition is that for not to produce the translational motion, the algebraic sum moment of forces is equal to 0. So moment of forces you have known, that is torque. Yes, torque only, right? Yeah. So the algebraic sum of moment of forces mean the torque. Moment of forces is nothing but torque. So that forces, if you add, then that also should be equal to 0. That satisfies the equilibrium condition. So these two are the main conditions of equilibrium. So sum of positive moments will be equal to sum of negative moments. This is not the this means that the when you take the when you take the sum of these forces, right, so that time it should be positive. If it is positive, it will be equal to negative moments also. So what positive moments you are getting, that will be equal to negative moments. So sum of the forces acting in one direction is equal to sum of forces acting in opposite direction. What forces are acting in one direction will be equal to even which forces will be acting in opposite direction. Mean unlike and like parallel forces, what you have studied, it will be acting in one direction and be acting in opposite directions, right? So here, if you take an example also for your better understanding, so unlike parallel forces will be equal to like parallel forces. There's nothing but. So here has positive moments are equal to negative moments, and here also like will be equal to unlike forces. That's all. So guys, here you complete your first chapter of mechanics. So next I'll be uploading, I think the next subject will be having BEEE, right? So next subject to next topic and the video will be about BEEE. If you understand, please comment. If you have doubt also, please comment. When you're having, if you haven't seen the my before video, that's of mechanic part 1, then there's a in below description I have provided the link. You can click on that and see the first video. But do remember to subscribe, like and share this channel, and also press the bell icon for the notification of my next upcoming videos. Bye bye guys.